His Highness Sheikh Hamdan has been there. Will Smith has been there. I forget the Red Bull guy's name, but there was a Red Bull motocross guy that was just up there. Tom Cruise has been there. But yeah, so there've been several people, but I'm the only woman that's ever been to the top of the Burj.
You might recognize Nicole Smith-Ludwig from an Emirates airline campaign that went viral in 2021. She's that flight attendant who was casually standing on top of Dubai's Burj Khalifa, which is almost 1 kilometer high and 163 floors. Nicole is actually a professional skydiver who was hired to bring this spectacular ad concept to life. But how did an American woman from a small town in Georgia end up standing on top of the world's tallest building in an Arab country? I'm Nadia Michel, and this is TMR Thrill Seekers.
The Burj Khalifa stunt is without a doubt one of the most amazing stunts that I have ever done in my entire life. And the way that it all came about was when Emirates initially did a casting call for their flight attendants. And I believe that they had some candidates that were willing to go up there, but after some consideration, they decided that it was a better idea to hire a professional to do that. And the reason being is when you're at that altitude in a situation like that, it's necessary that you maintain a level head and have an understanding of those dynamics. But in the past, I've worked with this company called Prime Productions, this man named Alan Gayton. He's also a skydiver. I've worked behind the scenes with Alan and Marta with Prime Productions on some other stunts. And my husband is also a stuntman. And so I've been behind the scenes on several of his stunts. And Alan called me and he goes, Nicole, I have this project. I want to know if you're interested in it. Do you have red lipstick? Which is, just getting a call from Alan is kind of weird anyway. He talks to my husband several times a week, but I very rarely talk to him on the phone. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a weird question. Yeah, I have red lipstick. And he was like, all right, cool. So I need you to do a casting video. I need you to put your hair up, put some red lipstick on. And I need you to send me a casting video that tells me a bit about who you are, the crazy stuff that you do. And that's kind of how it all got started. I got to take a look at this risk assessment. I think the risk assessment for this stunt was, it was a long risk assessment. So every element of safety had been thoughtfully planned, and we had everything executed and ready to go. And then getting prepared for the stunt, of course, it was going to a warehouse, taking a look at the platform, getting familiar with, how to climb the platform, what it's going to look like. And, all of these things happening in a controlled environment, which I think is really important, understanding, where my body is going to be in space and in that time, and being familiar with the platform there. And then whenever we were getting ready for the shoot, it was a super early call time. I had to go in for hair and makeup. And then we started the climb up to the top about an hour and a half before sunrise, hour and 15 minutes before sunrise. And the way that the whole climb goes, so you take the elevator to the 160th floor, and then you've got to take, some service elevators, little service areas up, and then you start the climb, which is about 200 meters inside this extremely narrow space. Really, really narrow. Like I wouldn't be able to have a backpack on my back. That's how narrow the space is. So, climbing to the top, of course I was harnessed in. I had a safety harness and I was attached the whole climb up. So to an ascender. So as I climb up, you're really a concern about falling. And getting to the top of the platform was a really incredible experience. The standing on the top of the spire, and I still had the platform above me, but it was just remarkable being able to see the city from there. The last 2 meters was up the platform itself. And of course, the whole time I'm always attached to 3 points of attachment. So I have my safety harness, and then I'm attached to the platform, and I'm attached to the spire as well. So all of these things are keeping me safe. Yeah. And then standing on top of the platform, once, I kind of found my handholds, my footholds, then standing up it was just remarkable. It did get a lot of attention. I think Emirates hit the holy grail with this marketing stunt, right? Because you look at it, you watch it, and you feel something. They really capture your emotions with a stunt. So it's, you either are in total awe, or it makes you sick because, you get a little vertigo, or it's complete disbelief, or, you think it's a blatant lie that it's all CGI. And I love that. I love that there's been so much controversy that way of people, whether it's real or fake. Like you pick one side of that coin and you stick there and, with it until you see the behind the scenes. And in some cases, some people still think it's fake. But I've had a lot of really positive response come across on my own social medias. People are very, I don't know, they people think that I'm really brave, and I love hearing that the courage has inspired people to do things that they've been scared to do, or pursue things that they were scared to do, but they've seen the stunt, and they use that as inspiration in their own stories.
Nicole came to Dubai in 2016 to teach skydiving and just to enjoy it as part of her daily routine. She's done as many as 16 dives in a single day. A typical jump can be anywhere from 10 to 14,000 feet, which is over 4 kilometers up. The first minute of that is free fall. At maximum speed or terminal velocity, divers can fly through the sky at up to 200 kilometers an hour. This whole idea, jumping out of a flying airplane, goes completely against any human survival instinct. But somehow, it's great.
When I got to the door of the airplane, it was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. Because you realize at that point that you've never been in an airplane with the door open. And when you get to the edge, it is literally the end of your comfort zone, because you're standing there and you're faced with the decision of, do I jump out of a perfectly lit airplane? Am I going to die? What the heck am I doing? When I got out of the airplane for the first time, it was the most liberating, crazy, blissful experience of my life. And it's just that emotion that is attached to skydiving that has just stayed with me, that excitement and that passion.
Nicole is multi-rated in skydiving, which means she practices and teaches a variety of different types of jumps. That's right, there are many ways you could do this, other than screaming at the top of your lungs.
So there's several different disciplines in skydiving. There's formation skydiving, so learning how to fly with a group of people. There's free flying, which is just another type of dynamic flying, and belly flying and wingsuiting. So there's, multiple different disciplines within the sport of skydiving. And as a coach, I'm able to teach people kind of how to hone in on their skills of how to, like, the aerodynamics of body flight and how they can fly better.
The view from the sky is one of the main criteria for skydivers, which is why most top skydiving locations are in places with incredible natural beauty, like New Zealand and Hawaii. But Dubai has become a hub for skydivers from all over the world because of its unique city views and also the weather, which is warm year-round. Here you can fly over man-made wonders like the Palm Jumeirah, the artificial archipelago built into the sea, and get a mind-blowing view of the Persian Gulf. Or you could do a desert jump and enjoy a view of golden sand dunes in the Arabian desert. Dubai also hosts one of the biggest annual international skydive championships.
Skydiving is very prevalent in Dubai. It is such a beautiful place to jump. There are two different drop zones there. One is the Skydive Dubai, Palm Jumeirah, the iconic skydiving over, Palm Jumeirah, and the other one is in the desert campus. But I mean, the weather in Dubai is glorious for skydiving, especially in the winter. The community of skydivers is they're so special. Because, and it literally encompasses every walk of life. You could be, jobless and, I don't know, or you could be a quantum physicist, and it is a level playing field for everybody. So there's just this, again, it's just this level of camaraderie. It's this band of brothers where, we all come together with one intention, and that's to skydive. That's to have fun.
Nicole came to the UAE to be with her husband, David Jr. Ludwig, who's also a world-renowned champion skydiver. But she was born and grew up in a small town in America, in Northeast Georgia.
I remember I lived really close to an airport community in my hometown, and I would lay in the grass and look up at the skies and watch airplanes just kind of fly around all day. And I always wondered what it would be like to jump out of an airplane. So that's kind of where that seed got planted. But then I had these recurring nightmares about falling off of a cliff. And I figured that if I went skydiving, I would not have that nightmare anymore. And it did. Yeah. As soon as I went skydiving, that nightmare stopped.
Her dreams stopped, but something else lurked around the corner. In 2011, what happened in her real life rivaled even the worst nightmare.
I've had some tragic things happen in my life. I was a widow at 25. And I needed something to kind of bring me back to myself and to, give me something to focus on. And I started skydiving in 2011, almost a year after my late husband passed away. And it really just reinvigorated my life. And then about 6 months after I started skydiving, I was in a really bad car accident that by all statistics should have claimed my life. Oh my gosh, the left me with a broken neck, a broken back. I had 2 broken ribs, a collapsed lung, a broken tailbone. My pelvis was broken in 4 places. I had 2 brain injuries. And again, by all statistics, I should not have made it. The man that was in the car with me, who was my boyfriend at the time, his name was Jeremy. He was killed almost instantly. And I've had to be life flighted to a trauma hospital. And there's 11 days of my life that I have no recollection of. So as I was going through the rehabilitation process, learning how to walk again, and the goal that I had in mind was to skydive all 50 United States. So these, while I'm going through this physically and emotionally painful time, that was always the light at the end of my tunnel. When I'm ready, when my orthopedist give me the go ahead, which I had some really phenomenal sports medicine doctors, when I got the go ahead from them that, everything was going to be okay if, I did a skydive, then that was it. That was my goal and ambition. And I was able to get through the process and with that in mind the whole time, was being able to skydive all 50 states when I was done. The accident happened in Rockmart, Georgia on June 13th, 2011, a mile from my boyfriend's house. Literally, where we were, I could see the turn into his apartment. That's how close we were. We were hit by a driver who ran a red light. He collided with us and hit the driver's side door of the car we were in. But I have a goal to skydive all 7 continents, and I've jumped 5, and I have Australia and Antarctica left. So those 2 places. Those are my biggest goals.
The science behind why people bypass their natural instincts and risk their lives to skydive is pretty broad. Besides the incredible feeling of flying, one obvious factor is the adrenaline rush, which instantly makes you feel stronger and heightens your senses. The body also releases endorphins and serotonin during a skydive, hormones that are known to make us feel happy. Statistically, the risk of dying in a skydiving accident is negligible, only 0.00045%, and it's even less for tandem jumps. Parachute malfunctions, though, can happen, which is why skydivers always have 2. Most injuries actually happen with bad landings. Safety protocols have really improved over the last few decades, which has resulted in a steady decline in annual deaths.
I'll say it like this. There are times in skydiving where things can go wrong. It's just kind of the probability, the statistical probability that there's going to be something that, isn't perfect. And the same thing with any outdoor sports. There's an element of perceived danger. But the thing about skydiving is, and learning how to skydive is, we are taught, and as an instructor, I teach people how to navigate these situations. So let's just say there's an incident, we call them parachute malfunctions, and they happen. The statistics are about 1 in 1,000. There can be a type of malfunction. And, these can be something, as severe as something as insignificant as, what we call a line twist, which is really a common malfunction in skydiving, or something that's requires a little bit more action where we would need to use a reserve parachute. But the thing is, again, is this something that we are taught how to handle? In a high stress, anxiety inducing situation, we need to maintain a level head, and so long as we're following the right emergency procedures, then it's pretty easy to navigate these problems.
Dealing with a malfunction while flying at 200 kilometers per hour takes a certain amount of cool, calm, and collected. Nicole, who's also a yoga teacher, mindfully cultivates this aspect of her personality.
Practice, practice, practice. I had a chorus teacher whenever I was really, really young, who put this into my mind. She goes, "Nicole, practice doesn't make perfect. We're human. Practice makes permanent." And I love that. And that's something that really resonates in skydiving for me is we practice. So we have these emergency procedures is what we call them. And, pilots have these same things where we go through scenarios in our minds about what could happen. And if if these things do happen, how we handle these situations. So when we're in a real life situation of having to deal with, a parachute malfunction, this is what we do in order to save our lives. So there's that aspect of things. And, when you continue to practice things and you practice things the correct way, it's just muscle memory. So it's, again, it's just a natural response to deal with those situations. But another thing that really helps me in high stress situations is mindfulness. I practice yoga nearly every day. And, meditation and mindfulness is a part of my practice. And that really helps me keep my mind centered when I'm starting to stress out.
That feeling you get while skydiving, or facing what Nicole calls an anxiety-inducing situation, might actually be therapeutic.
Everybody has fear. It's just a part of who we are. But the thing is not letting fear control you. So I believe that if someone has the want and the desire to really go skydiving, that they should do it. It's just about, finding the courage within themselves to do it. And it is, like I said earlier, it is one of the most amazing experiences of my life. The very first time that I did it, the initial stepping out of the airplane, it's that standing in the airplane, and I can't stress this enough. It is that moment of uncertainty where you are standing, your feet are on, solid ground, so to speak, in the airplane, and you look out, you look down, you see the ground. It's really hard to quantify how high you are, and it is super scary. But the second you are out of the airplane, again, it's one of the most amazing experiences that anyone will ever have. And I truly believe that if anybody, if they do decide to go skydiving, when they make the decision to step out of the airplane, I believe that transcends every other thing that we do in life. It puts things into a different perspective. Facing that fear, I really believe that the best things in life are on the other side of the fear. We have this thing in our mind of, I'm really, really scared. But when we jump out, it is the most liberating, freeing experience ever. It helps us be brave in other aspects of our lives where, we might not have had the courage to face it before.
Skydiving is one way to live a more satisfying and exhilarating life and to experience the full range of human emotions. After all, we only live once, and it often comes to an end when you least expect it.
For me, the key to living my best life is challenging myself to try new things and then making time for the things that I love and prioritizing those things. And then again, like I said earlier, staying connected to my childlike curiosity. For me, I like to just stop and smell the flowers. I like to appreciate the small things. And I believe that level of gratitude as well is something that helps me live my best life. I believe that I've gone through the things that I've gone through because there's a greater purpose for me. And I believe that if I can inspire one person to push through their fear or to find some light in their darkness, then it's all worth it. That's why I want to tell my story, because I know we all have fear. We all have fear, and sometimes we just need, a different perspective, a different story to be able to make something great for ourselves. And I hope that my story is able to inspire others to do that.
You can follow Nicole in the sky and on the ground on Instagram at Nicole Smith Ludwig, or you can watch her fly on her YouTube channel. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like it and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @NadiaMichelle_. See you soon.